Hi friends, Mindy here. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing a really simple entry in my Interleaved Bible. I have been using this Bible for several years. I've worked through several of the devotional kits in here and it's quite chunky, but I feel like I can add maybe one or two more entries in here before I retire it completely. When I do work in Bibles, I tend to work out of several different ones at a time, so they don't ever get like completely full all at one time. And then of course, if you've seen my channel at all, you know a lot of times I tend to journal in journals that I have created. So, but for today, we are working in John 19 and 30. I was actually going to journal in Isaiah, but the pages that I wanted to do over there were already filled in this Bible. And so I moved over to this verse in John 19:30. And the first thing that you see me doing here is I am applying a coat of matte medium to this background or to this paper, and I'm going to glue down this hymnal page. This is actually from one of my vintage hymnals that I have, and I pulled this page out specifically, and I'm going to cover it as well with a layer of matte medium over the top. This is just going to seal this page down really well onto my Bible page. It's almost the same size, just a little bit shy, and so I'm just making sure to smooth this out as much as possible to get all the wrinkles and stuff out. Obviously, when you're adding a wet medium to a very thin paper, you're going to have a little wrinkling, and that's fine with me, but I just wanted to make sure that it was sealed down really well. And so I did dry that with my heat tool, and now I'm coming in with an acrylic paint by Dana Wakley in the color Sand. I did add a little bit of water to that just to make sure that it was nice and thin. And then I'm going to go over the top of this page just to kind of push back some of that really dark print. This hymnal has a really bold print to it, which I love, but I wanted to just kind of push it back into the background a little bit so it wasn't competing with so much with what I'm going to do later on. So there were a couple sections where I decided to pull some of that paint up where I got a little bit too much. In the end, I end up covering that area anyway, so it didn't really matter, but at the time that seemed important, so I was using a baby wipe to pull up some of that paint. And then as I was cleaning my craft space over this weekend, I came across this paper. This is from an old By the Well for God. It was actually like a little mini Easter release. I think it was last year. And I love this paper. And so I decided to use this today. It's just got a very like cool mixed media type feel to it that I just absolutely love. And so you can see I have torn that down, and I'm going to set that off to the side for just a moment while I work on the background. I'm going to use this stencil mostly for the pattern in a few places. I'm using archival ink though, not distress, because I'm working over matte medium and acrylic paint, and sometimes distress oxides especially, they don't really like to dry, or they just take a really long time. So I'm using archival so that I know that it's going to dry, it's going to be permanent, I don't have to worry about it. And I'm just going around and adding this pattern. This is not the same exact pattern that's in that pattern paper, but it's kind of similar enough. It kind of just gives a nod to it, I think, and so it makes it feel more cohesive between that paper in the background and the paper that I'm going to be gluing down here in just one second. So like I said, I was going to be working in Isaiah. You'll see that journaling card I have over there has Isaiah 53, 5, and 6 on it. And so I'm distressing that. I distressed the edge of the pattern paper that I'm going to be gluing down. I inked around that really well with some archival ink, and now I'm just trying to figure out my placement for this. I thought I was going to do this in this bottom right hand corner, and I also pulled in one of the little ephemera pieces from this release, which was this little lamb, and in the end I end up not using that. But I did also really want to distress this piece with the verse on it, just make it look aged. And so I went around that with a distressing tool from Tim Holtz. I went around it and kind of tore some of the edges, and then I inked that up really well as well with that same archival ink in ground espresso, just to give it a nice aged look. This is the little sheep that I thought I was going to put on here. It had a little Easter basket, so I was trying to kind of hide the Easter eggs. And in the end, I thought I was going to actually switch my whole plan at this point. So a lot of times when I sit down to create, I don't have a full on plan when I turn my camera on. And so I thought I was going to change because I really loved these floral images. In the end, what I did, as you can see, is I just cut them out from the pattern paper, and I'm going to incorporate both of these together on this page. And I really end up loving how this looks. And so just trying to figure out how I like this best. And I thought I was going to put that journaling card over in the bottom right hand corner, but in the end I liked it at kind of at the base of those florals. So I'm just going to glue everything down kind of the way that you see this. And I like that this is kind of pulling something from that top of the page back in, like, and kind of marrying it with the background, if that makes sense. It just kind of makes it, at least in my mind, feel more cohesive. And so I'm just gluing everything down. I did add a little bit of glue to the florals before I flipped this whole thing down, and then I'll glue this all down as one big piece. I'm trying to make sure that when I glue this down, you can still see the title of the hymn. And then I'm just going to go around and add a little bit more glue, especially along this gutter. I want to make sure that that page stays down. This is pretty thick paper, so I'm just going to hold that there for a second. Fortunately, art glitter glue dries really quickly, so I just added a little bead of that and held it down for a second, and then I will add my journaling card right over the top of that, and just trying to leave visible some of my favorite parts of this pattern paper as well. And then because I'm working in John, and just I was really thinking about this whole process. Obviously today is Easter, at least when I'm recording this. And so just thinking about the work of the cross and everything that was accomplished through all of that. And we just had a beautiful service at church. And so I want to include this idea when Jesus said in John 19:30, it is finished. So that work of the cross, and that's really the thing that, gives us hope and why we can celebrate the way that we do, because we do have so much to be thankful for the work of the cross. And so I wanted to just include those words, it is finished. So I'm just putting tetelestai over there on the left side. I'm using a Tile Alpha from By the Well Forgotten. I love this one because it has like a distressed font to it, and it's hard to see on camera, but the color is very similar to one of the colors that you can kind of see in the background paper as well. And then I added just a date over there on the right side. I did highlight the verse there in John with a Tombow marker. And then real quickly, I'm just going to write, "Thank you, Jesus, for the finished work of the cross," over here in the margin. And that's going to be it for me for today. So if you like this video, I would appreciate it if you gave it a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. All my links for my website, my Facebook group, everything are down in the description. I'd love to have you over there. And until next time, bye.